My name's John Newson. I head up the public sector partner business in AWS for UK and Ireland. I've been in AWS for 6.5 years now. I joined as the second partner manager for the UK team, a very small team at the time. On my first day, I got quite a small list of partners that we worked with at the time. Fast forward 6.5 years, and I now manage a team of 25 partner managers who look after our whole range of partners for public sector. So I've got a team looking after ISVs, either vertical specific health techs, ed techs, for example, up to our global ISVs, a team looking after our born in the cloud partners, our scale partners, our SIs, and our GSIs. And for me, what's been really exciting over the last 6-year period is seeing not only the number of partners grow in our APN, but also those partners from the beginning, from that small list, really grow successful, profitable businesses. And some of those partners have now got 1,000, 2,000 employees, where they started as a really small SME. So it's really exciting to see. So what I wanted to do today was and it's very UK specific because obviously I'm here, but it gives you some examples of where our partners have really built this business and talk through how partners build a profitable business with AWS and how we are here to help you do that. I'm going to cover off both services and software partners. So just a little show of hands before we start. Who's here from a services partner? Software partner? Okay, nice mix, maybe a bit more services. I'm going to cover off both this afternoon. So before I go into it, I just wanted to share two interesting statistics with you. The first one is from Gartner, which Gartner says that more than half of IT spend in key market segments is going to be on the cloud by 2025. To be fair, we're all at reInvent. I don't think we have to talk about how exciting the cloud opportunity is with the scale of this event this week. The other statistic for me is really interesting and really important, and that comes from IDC. And IDC say that IT enterprises, customers, only 11% of them want to solely use their own internal IT resources for their digital transformation. So that's a really key statistic, because what that's saying is they need help and support from their partners. So not only is the opportunity huge, but also customers need help. And that's where our partners come in. We all know that there's a skill shortage globally. We face it in the IT industry when we're hiring people. So our customers are definitely facing it. So again, real opportunity for partners to help our customers. I'll start by talking about services partners. And I just wanted to really important to just reframe how cloud fits in compared to maybe the traditional vendor supplier model of hardware and software. So traditionally, obviously, a supplier would sell their solution and the partner would resell it, make their margin, and that's the business model that was there. What cloud does is actually flips that whole business model. And if you think about it from a customer's project point of view, AWS actually becomes the smaller piece of the pie. So what we've seen across the globe, but from a study we did in the US a number of years ago, we saw that successful partners should be making 6 to 11 times the AWS revenue. So for every dollar of AWS you sell, you should be making 6 to 11 additional dollars. And this is where I'm going to focus on now, talking this through. I'm not going to focus on the resale of the AWS piece, because I'm quite open and transparent that you're not going to build a big, exciting, profitable business by just doing that. And customers don't need that, right? Customers need the help and support from their partners. So I want to really focus on how we can help our customers and how you can make that 6 to 11 times multiplier. So breaking it down simply for our services partners, we talk about 6 different ways service partners can build a profitable business. And I want to go through these with you now. And the first 3 of those is the logical journey that a customer goes on. So the first stage is that plan and design stage, which is pre the AWS stage, right? This is where the customer needs help. which applications do they migrate first, how do they do it, is it cost effective, et cetera, et cetera. So this can be, this is consultancy services for you as partners, tends to be fixed cost, TCO, ROI reports. We've got partners like Bytes who use Cloudamize to actually run an assessment on the customer's environment to give them that visibility of which applications and what dependencies they are to help them give them that really detailed report. At this plan and design stage, also, we have a lot of our partners who do proof of concepts with customers, which really shortens that sales cycle. And for me, the cost savings of cloud is obviously really important for our customers, especially in public sector. But that speed and innovation and being able to experiment is so important. So if you think of kind of the traditional world of on-prem, you know, if a customer wanted to experiment and try something, they'd have to work out what infrastructure they needed, you know, get IT to order it, have it delivered, racked and stacked, try the experiment. Maybe they kind of wouldn't like to admit that the experiment doesn't work because they've invested money in it. Cloud gives you the ability to try proof of concepts incredibly quickly and see if it works. And we've seen so many partners, especially in areas like Connect, where from that initial conversation of whether they should do something, 2 weeks later, they've done a proof of concept. So it's fantastic to really reduce that sales cycle. So that next logical stage that customer goes on in the journey is obviously the build and migrate stage. And going back to that 11% at the beginning, this is where customers need help. Yeah, they need help in doing this migration. We've got so many examples of partners delivering really successful migrations for our customers. BJSS, one of our, actually, sorry, after this week, I should say, our healthcare partner. I think they're here. Yeah, you could cheer. I've seen the audience. Our healthcare partner of the year, BJSS, did a fantastic project for UK Health Security Agency. During COVID, they migrated the remaining 90 applications that they had onto AWS, which they did in only 4 months, which was fantastic. And that served over 25,000 users. So that kind of demonstration of migrations is really important. And what we see partners actually specializing in what kind of migrations they do as well. So we have partners who specialize in database migrations, or partners like Lemongrass who specialize in SAP migrations. So they migrated an SAP environment for Transport for London that had been on-prem for over 18 years and actually involved over 25,000 servers. So that was a fantastic migration, seeing that. And we internally, if the partners are our migration partners, we have funding programs, again, to support customers and partners at this stage. So if you think about, you know, from the customer's point of view of having their on-prem environment and then moving to the cloud, there's that period of time where they have both environments. So our funding programs can really help support in the economics of that via our partners with either cash or credit funding. So Kainos use our MAP funding, for example, at Genomics England. And what happened for Genomics England, they moved petabytes of data across genomics data and research data, which obviously had a massive cost benefits to Genomics England, but also actually they could do some quite simple research that previously had taken them 25 hours to run. They could run that in 23 seconds. So real benefit for the customer. And for Kainos, having that access to our MAP funding program really helped them accelerate that for the customer. So that's the kind of consultancy services at the plan and design, and then the professional services at the build and migrate. And the third stage on the customer journey, what we see a lot more of, is actually managed services. Customers don't want to even run the environment themselves. They just want partners to do it for them. This is obviously very good services opportunity for partners, good margin opportunity. And we've got a whole load of partners that provide managed services for our customers. So for example, Capgemini did a project in the UK for HMRC. During COVID, we had in the UK a furlough scheme, which was a government theme to give support to people who weren't at work, couldn't work, rather than them being made redundant. So this solution was set up, and they got the Social Impact of the Year award from us this week. This solution was set up in 4 weeks, and actually CAP had to deliver a proof of concept in 2 weeks, which is phenomenal. That continuous management of the solution and that continuous improvement for the customer enabled that service to scale up to manage 42 billions worth of support that it had to do, and it had a customer success rating of 90%. So again, a really successful managed service project. We also, again, we see partners kind of specializing in the different managed services that they offer. So if you saw our digital sovereignty pledge this week, we have partners in Europe who really help provide a managed service around data protection, helping customers manage their encryption environments and their other requirements to meet that security requirements in the country. So again, really specific managed services, and other partners focus on sustainability as well, and kind of really helping the customers in that managed service drive their sustainability goals, which is fantastic to see. The fourth way we talk about is optimization. Now, optimization has always been key, but I think in the current economic climate, it's going to be so important for customers and also for you as partners, because you need to obviously really increase your profitability as well. Our customers are really cost conscious at the moment, so optimization is really important. For example, if you're running managed services and you're owning the AWS environments yourselves, you can aggregate the usage amongst your number of customers and then use saving plans or reserved instances to drive down the cost. This does two things for you as a partner. It obviously increases your profitability, but it also can make you more competitive as well. So it's really important to look at. And then the other side is kind of just really understanding how Amazon works as well, and how AWS operates. And for me, I always say there's two kind of things that set AWS apart. One is our technical capability, our breadth of portfolio, our number of services. And then the other area is actually our culture. And we've brought Amazon's culture into AWS, which is slightly different. And it's really important for you to as partners to kind of understand that. So I'm sure some of you have probably seen this diagram before. This is a famous napkin pitch that Jeff Bezos did. And it describes how Amazon achieves growth, if you think about Amazon's store. But actually, it's exactly the same and applicable for AWS. So everything starts with the customer experience. Customer experience is key. And then if you provide a good customer experience, that increases traffic. So whether that's the Amazon store or the number of users of AWS. Increasing that traffic increases the number of sellers. Again, on the Amazon store, we sell more through our third-party sellers than we sell directly. AWS, it's your solutions and services that increases that selection to our customers. That increases selection, increases customer service or customer experience, and you get that flywheel effect. The bit that's really interesting is that top layer. And that's when we, as AWS, get the economies of scale, we'll just reduce our prices. And that happens overnight. So we make sure that we pass on those savings to our customers. And also our teams internally are very focused on reducing our customers' costs. So I'll give you an example. A while ago, I'm an exec sponsor of a central government department, and I had the QBR with our account manager. And we went in, and the first thing our account manager said to the CTO was, "We've been trying to work with your team, get them to implement some changes to reduce their spend on us by 20%. The CTO didn't really know what to say. He was a bit confused of, a supplier coming in and going, spend 20% less with us. It's a different approach, but that's the approach we take internally. And we've been doing this for 16 years, and what we've seen is actually customers then trust us more, like us more, and especially for you as partners, what happens is it goes back to the beginning and they start planning and designing their next project. So whilst you might have a dip in the AWS spend, what happens is you then get that increase. So for yourselves as partners, working closely with us to have that approach with customers really helps grow the business in the long term. As I say, this is kind of what we've seen over the 16-year period we've been doing that. When I'm talking through these kind of 6 ways, it's important to remember we don't expect every partner to do each area, right? Some partners do managed services, some don't. It's absolutely fine. We've got a partner, for example, Strategic Blue, who just focus on this optimized stage. So it's really fascinating to see a partner grow a successful, profitable business just on that one area. So they specialize in FinOps. They help predominantly a lot in education, universities in the UK and universities in the US. They helped University of California reduce their monthly spend by 17%. And their whole business model is based on what they can save the customer. They also work with partners as well as customers to help you reduce your spend as well. So again, really interesting business model that's purely based on this optimization stage. That 5th area that we talk about, the 5th way we talk about, is third-party software. And it's not a coincidence I've drawn it on top of the previous 4 layers. So my first example was Bytes using Cloudamize at that assessment stage for the plan and design. We have partners using third-party software at each of the stages. For example, Softcat use Cloud Health by VMware at that optimization stage to really help customers reduce their spend. And that's how they differentiate themselves in the market. So they work with NHS Digital to really help drive down the costs across, to be fair, multiple cloud environments. And they can make that the savings of 20% a month for the customer, which was fantastic. We have a lot of partners, obviously, partners you probably already work with around security and backup, Trend, Druva, Veeam, etc. So it's really important to kind of think of what third-party solutions make up part of your offering, because obviously that gives you an additional revenue and margin stream. There's also obviously our ISV partners that are vertically specific that can be part of those solutions. So really think about and work with us on how you can integrate those solutions. And then the 6th way we talk about is just wrapping up what you've created and making it a repeatable solution. So from a profitability point of view, if you're creating something unique for every customer, it's going to be quite expensive, yeah? If you can create something that you can take out to multiple customers, it's a lot more profitable for yourselves. And certainly in areas like regional government where there's so many customers, I spent 18 years of my career before AWS selling to public sector. And I used to always say it was do a project, reference it, repeat it. So how can we do that kind of reference and repeat it with yourselves and support you to do that? Some great examples in the UK, PA Consulting had a project for Hampshire Council during lockdown where they had to phone out and speak to every potentially vulnerable citizen in the county to see if they needed extra support. Their call center, their traditional call center, just couldn't cope with that workload. They didn't have enough staff, and the system wasn't adequate for it. So PA Consulting created a solution using Amazon Connect that automated that first call to the potentially vulnerable citizens. This reduced staff costs by 92%. And actually increased the time that they were able to do this by 11 times, and it cost 1/10 of the price. So a fantastic example of a partner that helped the customer and helped Hampshire County Council in this state. But actually what PA did then is package that up and take it to other councils. So how can you do that repeatable solution? Another really great example is Cirrus HQ in the UK, who focused predominantly on our education market. And what they did is they had a customer, Nottingham College, who unfortunately was being under threat from a ransomware attack. So Cirrus HQ helped them provide secure backups, which was fantastic for the customer. But then what they actually did is they packaged that up again as a repeatable solution called Cloud Safeguard for Education, and they actually put it on our marketplace. Because our marketplace now is for our services partners as well as our software partners. So it's a really good way of them selling it and having visibility to the market. So that was a really interesting approach of solving a customer's issue, but then really taking it out to market in a strong way. Our marketplace is really important for partners as well when we talk about that third-party software. I think for you, especially again in the economic climate that we are at the moment, we see a lot of systems integrators wanting to standardize on the vendors that they use and maybe reducing the number of vendors they use. Marketplace really enables you to do that really easily and to procure your third-party software in the same agile way as you procure cloud. So that's it from the services partner point of view, and I'm going to just move on to talk about software. Interestingly, those of you who put your hand up at the beginning as services partners, how many of you have got software solutions, whether on-prem or SaaS? Yeah, cool, quite a few of you then. So that's what we've seen in the market. And if you remember, those of you who've been partners for us for a while, actually, sorry, let me go back one stage to the services piece. That 6 ways model that we talk about is actually a really good way for you to work with your partner manager to build a plan around what you want to do. So my team work with partners to look at those 6 ways we talked about previously, to then look at where you are on your journey currently, where you want to get to, and what we can do to help you. So really work with your partner manager to have that clear plan. We've also got, for those of you who might be newer partners to us, we've got the Partner Transformation Program that really helps. It's a third-party consultancy that helps partners transform their business and adapt to a cloud business model. And we've also got Think Big for small business, which again is really important for our partners who are SMEs, small to medium enterprises, who are so vital for our area. So yeah, what we've seen from that kind of what we did previously of you're either a consulting partner or you're a technology partner. We saw that obviously, and it's apparent by the hands being raised here, that change in the market, where actually so many more software partners are offering services, or services partners are have their own software solutions. Cloudwick is a great example of this. They're a partner that specializes in big data, AI, ML, a services partner traditionally, and then they've got their data platform called Amorphic that they use to really simplify data management, and it's a managed service with over 60 AWS services integrated into it. So this becomes a SaaS solution that they provide to councils and to customers, and we've had some really interesting projects in public sector where they've utilized this tool. Education is a really great example where they use it to help predict when a student might be about to drop out. So for a university, obviously, if a student drops out in year 2, they can't replace that student. So it's quite a loss of revenue. So actually, looking at all the data sets that are available, has the student been to the library, etc., they can start to try and predict which students are more likely to drop out. So a really good example of a traditional consultancy partner having the software solutions. So if you are services partners, really think about what software offerings you have that might be applicable for this. So there's a number of stats here that show the benefit. Cost savings, as I say, is always really important. But I think the other areas that are really important is the increase in features. And again, that kind of innovation and creating innovation within the staff. So when we talk about how we can help our software partners build a profitable business, we really kind of break it down into 2 key areas. How do we help you spend less and sell more? It's kind of that simple, really, when you think about it. And I think, again, in the current climate especially, helping you really reduce your spend is going to be really key to increase your profitability. So that's the area I want to just cover on first. So when we talk about optimization, I like to look at optimization in 3 different ways. There's that technical optimization piece. And we all know that there's a savings of that kind of lift and shift to the cloud environment. But actually, if you're going to really get the benefits from cloud, it's actually optimizing that environment to be used in the cloud in AWS. So for example, partner of ours, Preservica, who kind of clues in the name a little bit, they have long-term retention, preservation of data. They worked with our cloud economics team who helped them really look at what they were using, and actually rather than just having everything simply in S3, they looked at S3 in frequent access and Glacier and really reduced their costs. So again, optimizing technically the environment for cloud, not just taking your previous on-prem environment and replicating it. That really drives down the costs. And then the third area from a technical point of view is actually designing it to be used in the cloud. So we've got an American partner of ours, Kokomo 24/7, who's an education partner. They actually created 2 new solutions during COVID to help universities, who's their prime customers, manage the health and safety requirements. And they use serverless technology to do this. So the cost savings were fantastic for them, but also actually they created these 2 new solutions in 2 weeks. You know, there's a common theme in all these examples, and it's speed, right? But they were able to do this in 2 weeks using serverless at a massively reduced cost, which was fantastic. So on top of technical optimization, we've also then got commercial optimization. So this is how you kind of just, rather than just the standard on-demand pricing, you really look at spot instances, saving plans, reserved instances to really help kind of reduce the costs. So your partner manager, or if you're an ISV and you've got an account manager, again, what I said earlier about culturally really there to support you in reducing your costs. So it's really important to work with us, and we can help advise you on the best route to get the maximum benefits for yourselves. And that's the cultural optimization I talked about previously, that we are so focused and targeted on actually helping our customers. And as ISVs, you're a partner and a customer, obviously. All of our partners are customers as well. So really helping them in that proactive way we do it. Our tools proactively tell you how you could reduce spend. Like, why are you running your test and development environment at the weekend, for example? Our solution architects are all focused on helping customers reduce spend. So again, really work with us and work with the solution architect team to help kind of maximize the optimization piece. Moving on to how we help either ISVs or services partners with software solutions sell more. There's kind of the old adage of you can either sell more to your existing customers, or you can sell what you've got already to new customers. And so kind of looking at it in that lens, wanted to focus really starting on the additional, how you can sell additional services to your existing customers. And this is really where our breadth of portfolio comes in. I mean, we were laughing as a team before reInvent in the fact that we say that we have over 200 services, but I kind of dread to think what that number's going to be at the end of the week. I think this is probably one of the few presentations that doesn't include "I'm pleased to announce." So I think we will, that number will be huge. But it goes beyond that kind of standard compute and storage there, and really think about what additional functionality you can use to increase your offering to your customer. Whether that's different solutions, as in the example with Kokomo 24/7, where they created some new solutions, or just enhancing your current capability. So we've got a partner in Ireland called Axle 3D, who are a fantastic partner, and they're health tech. And they take 2D medical images and translate them into 3D printed models for surgeons. So surgeons can really get that insight before getting into the operating theatre. Now, Axle 3D started using us very early in their creation, but they were using us as that, for storage, for the images. What they quickly realized is actually utilizing us for machine learning, they could really reduce the costs it takes them to create a model from hours to minutes. So it really benefited them. Another great example is Iron Mountain, who again, Iron Mountain store physical and digital documentation. And again, initially, they were really using us as that storage layer. But what they did is actually they used things like Amazon Textract, Amazon Comprehend, Amazon Transcribe to actually enhance the offering that they did to their customers. And what they could provide is a really detailed way for their customers to extract the data that they need and find that data in actually 50 different languages. So they really enhance their offering to the customers. So really, again, think about what your current offering is and how it can be enhanced to the customers. How it can make you more competitive and obviously help you improve your sales. And then the other area, of course, is how can we help you sell to new customers? And there's a lot of ways we can do this and a lot of ways we can focus on helping you. Our public sector sales team has grown phenomenally over the last year. So it's working with our sales teams on campaigns, working together, having joint customer meetings. We see a lot of this with a whole range of ISVs, including the likes of Splunk and Trend. And also it's important not to forget our services partners as well. So quite often for our ISVs, their route to market is through our services partners. So actually think about that channel, think about your route to market and their sales teams. So we work very often in collaboration with an ISV and our services partner. So Iron Mountain, who I just mentioned, they're currently doing a campaign into healthcare via Softcat. Really good example of a tri-party offering. So again, think about that. Think about your proposition to our account managers. Make it easy for our account managers to understand your solution, what that elevator pitch is. I always kind of say, and from experience of being an account manager, you just need to know that really good elevator pitch to then bring in the experts, right? So just have that really clear view in mind of what your proposition is for our account managers. Our marketplace we talked about earlier. A marketplace is obviously really key to enable customers to easily procure your offering, and it gives you the ability to expand globally as well, which is fantastic. Again, we have lots of partner funding programs available, whether that's funding for POCs to really go and demonstrate your capability to customers, whether it's marketing funding to run campaigns or proactive news articles. For example, we've recently done a whole campaign in CIO magazine that was funded as part of the partner funding to really highlight what our health techs and ed techs do. So again, work with your partner managers on that funding that's available for you. Interestingly, if a customer's got an EDP with us, or in the UK we have OGVA agreement, they can actually buy their software off the marketplace and include it as part of their committed spend to us. So that's really beneficial to customers. We've talked about AWS marketing and how we can help. Really keen to have case studies, do more case studies with every partner, right? We'll never be in the position where we've got too many case studies. And for me, again, going back to my experience of selling, having a case study is just worth its weight in gold. So really work with us on what case studies you can do. I know sometimes they're hard. I know sometimes in public sector they're hard to get. But we shouldn't not try just because it might be hard. Case studies are invaluable. The going global piece is really interesting, and I think I remember a few years ago I was talking to a potential ISV who had their solution on-prem hosted in London. And I'll be honest, the CEO was like, I don't get why I'd put it on cloud. It doesn't make sense. We've got a data center in London. We're completely happy. And then about 10 minutes later, he suddenly went, we get asked a lot about whether we can buy customers in Australia, whether they can use our solution. But obviously they don't want their data in London. Is that something you can help with? And it was a bit of a light bulb moment for him of going, well, yes, you can put your solution in our region in Australia, and it's incredibly simple. So that ability to go global is really exciting. A great example in the UK is one of our edtechs, CDSM. Now, they're based in Wales in the UK, and they provide their learning platform to all the schools in Wales. What they did is that working with our sales team, working with our bid and capture team, who was able to support them, they ended up responding to an opportunity for the Egyptian Knowledge Bank. That was for 22 million students in Egypt. So they were successful in taking their solution to, as I say, every student in Egypt, which if you think about that from a relatively small SME in Wales to suddenly be able to sell to every student in Egypt is a phenomenal kind of story. And it was working with our sales teams, working with our bid and capture teams on the responses, and really helping doing that. And it makes it very easy and quite cost effective for you as a software partner to enter new markets. And again, it goes back to the question of the services teams as well, of maybe looking at services teams you can work with in new markets for you. So rather than having to necessarily put that big investment into the country, it's a really good opportunity. Obviously, the focus for us is that nirvana of the top right and doing both. So I think similarly to what I said about the 6 ways plan, the 6 ways for our services and then this spend less, sell more is a really good foundation to build that plan with your partner managers. So really look at all the areas that I've talked about and kind of figure out where you are, what your ambition is, and then have that plan that is, I prefer a kind of plan on a page working document where you have real clear detail of how we're going to help you achieve those areas. So really take this kind of format and work with your partner managers to do that. This, some of you might have heard me say before. I said it in a presentation a number of years ago. And to be honest, I wish I trademarked it because it kind of resonates with our partners and it gets repeated back to us a lot. But this is what do you want to be famous for? And this is actually really, really important. And it goes back to our 200 plus or whatever number that's going to be by the end of this week services, is that our partners need to be really clear in kind of what they do and what their capability is. And I'll say to any partner, whether it's a small born in the cloud partner or a large global SI, you're not going to be the experts in everything we do, especially if you're new on the AWS journey. So it's really important to have that clear focus of what you want to offer and what you want to be famous for. This also goes back to that piece around our account managers as well as the customers. It helps you demonstrate to customers your capability, but also our account managers really understand why they should use you. You know, what should they hear from their customers to think of you as a partner? So having that real clear kind of focus is really important. This is also then where our competency programs come in. Our competency programs really help you show your capabilities to the market. And actually, interestingly, we've seen tenders now from government customers who really request competencies or partners of a certain tier. So it's really important for you to highlight to the market what it is you can do. So for example, we talked about BGSS being healthcare, Cirrus HQ being education, either vertical specific or solutions specific, like Lemongrass focusing on SAP, for example, is really important. So as part of your plan, kind of think about what the competencies are that you want to achieve and what you really want to show yourself off to the market for. And that's where our competencies, they're not hoops that we're trying to make you jump through. It's what our customers look for. It's also important, again, if you're new on the journey, to look at your existing business and work out how that replicates into a cloud world. So Bytes, for example, I mentioned earlier, they're really focused on Microsoft workloads. So when they became an advanced partner of ours, their first migration, first competency they went for was the Microsoft workload one. So again, really good example of kind of focusing where they wanted to start. So have a real plan and ambitions of what competencies you want to achieve. So the other piece that is really important, and we've seen it so much in the marketplace over the last 5-6 years, I call it really, innovatively call it partners partnering, but it's that collaboration between partners in the marketplace. And that delivers really successful outcomes, which is fantastic. So it's really important for you to think about what other partners you could potentially work with. So PA Consulting, who I mentioned earlier, have just got our Collaboration Partner of the Year award. And that was for a work with big central government department in the UK, where they worked with a number of ISVs, but also part of the project was actually database migration project. And at the time, they didn't have the skills. So they partnered with version 1, who is famous for database migrations and has the competencies and is actually our EMEA Migration Partner of the Year. That collaboration together delivered a really successful outcome for the customer. So it's so good to see that kind of collaboration between partners. We've talked a lot about services and software partners working together, but actually that work amongst our services partners is really important. And we see partners who actually you would think are complete competitors. BGSS and Kainos, who I've both mentioned earlier, are on one hand competitors. On the other hand, they got an industry award for their joint collaboration on helping DVSA in the UK. So a fantastic example. So I think it's really important when you think about what you want to be famous for, you then build up the skill sets in your Cloud Center of Excellence to really be able to deliver that. And then think about what other partners you can do to increase your breadth of portfolio of what you can sell to your customer. So if it's big data analytics, for example, as I said, database migrations, really think about what else can help. And we've seen a number of our maybe larger, more traditional partners, some of the SIs, for example, working with our small born in the cloud partners who are really focused on what they do. So we have small partners like Cloud Fundamental who focus on government security requirements. A lot of our systems integrators work with them to really help on that journey. So think about building up your own community of partners to increase your offering. So hopefully, this week, not only have you met a lot of customers, but you've also met a lot of partners and kind of, ask them what they're famous for. Get that real view of what it is, because that will help you on your journey and help you increase your offerings to your customers. So for me, massive thanks for joining me. I know it's Thursday afternoon, but I've hopefully that's given you food for thought. As I say, it's really important to kind of look at these different areas. We're here to support you. My team in the UK, but the partner teams across the globe, our number one job is to help you build a profitable business. That's our key focus. So work really clearly on developing those plans on how we can help. I think, more so than ever, helping you be profitable is so key. So just to kind of summarize what I've talked about today, we've talked about that 6 to 11 times. So really think about how you're going to make that 6 to 11 times revenue on top of the AWS revenue. That's $6 to $11 for every dollar of AWS. We talked about the 6 ways that you can do that, with the first 3 being that customer's journey. So how you help them with that plan and design stage. How do you help them really understand the journey they're going to go on? That build and migrate stage, going back to that 11%, customers don't have the skills themselves. They need partners' help. How are you going to help them at that build and migration stage? How are you going to benefit from our programs to do that? And then the managed services. You're going to provide managed services to your customers. Optimization, I would absolutely encourage you to look at this through 2 lenses. One for how you help your customers optimize, but secondly, how you help yourself optimize as well. And then that third-party solutions, what ISVs maybe you currently work with, or what additional ISVs can help you really enhance your offering to customers. And then that kind of do a project, reference it, repeat it. how do you package that up as a repeatable solution that we can work with our sales teams to take that out to multiple customers. We looked at our ISV partners or software partners who've got potential SaaS solutions and had that two very clear areas of how we help you spend less and sell more. Then the what do you want to be famous for, really kind of setting your stall out, as it were, into the market so people know your capability, and thinking also of how you position yourselves to our account managers internally so they know what to kind of listen to think about. So having that real clear, defined message about what you're famous for. And then obviously using our competency programs to really help demonstrate that to the market. And then the final piece was that partners partnering, which I think is so successful and so important to really drive those successful outcomes. So I'm going to give you a bit of time back at the end, and before everyone kind of rushes out, kind of speak to the person next to you and ask them what they're famous for and get a really good understanding, because it is so important to help our customers in this time. So again, thank you very much. I really appreciate you coming over to the MGM, especially on a Thursday afternoon. There is a survey in the app, which I'd really appreciate if you took the time to give some feedback. Feedback's really important for us. Again, just to clarify, the whole partner team globally is here to help you build a profitable business. That's our number one goal. So really work with us, really get those plans in place. Think where you are on the 6 ways and where you want to be. Think where you are on the spend less and sell more and where you want to be. And really define that clear plan with us to help us really help you drive a profitable business. Thank you very much.